My second presentation is dedicated to the graduates' entrepreneurship and employability. Yesterday and today we heard quite a lot about employability, and few people mentioned entrepreneurship. I also believe that entrepreneurship is a very important part of our reality. It becomes even more and more important, and what I can see, what I find the reasons behind lying in the global situation in the labor markets. We observe that that there is a growing number of unemployed people practically in the whole Europe, and I believe that launching own company by our graduates in the near future or in the further future can give them a chance to pursue own dreams, but also it has they can get a chance or give a chance for income, for professional development. On the other hand, since advanced education gives more chances for launching innovative companies with fast growth potential, university graduates' entrepreneurship seems to me the most desirable from the economy point of view. Then, being aware of all of these facts, I started to investigate the topic, especially entrepreneurship education, to get insight into the problem. Specifically, I explored 4 areas. That is a general policy climate for entrepreneurial education, program context, graduate entrepreneurship and employability, and university enterprise context. And I found pretty surprising research results. For example, that the creation of a new firm is more widespread than the creation of a new household or a new baby born in society. Or that those with full or part-time job are more likely to launch their own businesses than those who are unemployed or retired or housewives or students. Or, what was also very surprising for me, that women, when they launch their businesses, they are usually solo-owned businesses, while men usually work in teams. If they launch company, they do it with colleagues. And they've been much more surprising results. But today, concerning the Praxis conference topic, I just want to dedicate my presentation to the graduate entrepreneurship and employability. Specifically, I like to answer for 3 questions. First of all, what do we understand by entrepreneurship? Secondly, how graduate entrepreneurship can be boosted, how it can be supported, and if advanced education play any role in facilitating business formations. The method of systematic literature review was applied. I collected articles from scientific journals published between 2000 and 2010, and only those articles only those journals which are included in the social science citation index and at the same time in the entrepreneurship journals rankings. Then in practice I got 4 journals to look them through. And research was divided into 5 stages. First of all, collection of journals, setting the criteria for acceptance or rejection of articles for the review, further on filtration of the journals and database building with articles which included at least one of the criteria which I set. Later on, specification of the research main areas. As I mentioned, they've been 4 of them. And at the very end, ordering of the articles accordingly. It means according to the topics, these 4 topics, and their description. Big work, very time consuming. But what it came up? First of all, I tried to identify how authors described entrepreneurship. There are numerous definitions, and it was one of the reasons why I asked Poppy what does she mean by entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial abilities, because it can be described in various ways. I want to present a definition which seems to me the most comprehensive, and it says that it is a process. It is a process which includes ability to discover, select, process, interpret, and use necessary data to take decisions in uncertain reality in order to exploit market opportunities. Then I see that skills are important part of the whole process, and at the very end we must get exploitation of the opportunities which come from the market. And to be honest, most of the authors find entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs as those people who launch their own businesses or who are self-employed. However, the newest literature starts to look at entrepreneurs in more broader, from more broader perspective. And now we start to recognize entrepreneurs as those who pursue market opportunities, those who launch new projects, those who see possibilities and try to explore them. I'll come back to money. And it's a very important fact is that the main factors affecting entrepreneurial ability are certain personal characteristics, especially creativity, imagination, degree of risk aversion, alertness is emphasized. Interesting that this degree of risk aversion is emphasized, is underlined, because usually people believe that entrepreneurs are those people who love risk taking. It's not necessarily true. Another factor affecting entrepreneurship is or are competences, formal competences acquired through education and on-the-job experience. And tacit knowledge is also an important part of it. Knowledge which is embedded in the environment of life. Those, for example, who grown up in the family with entrepreneurial experiences, they are more likely to launch their own business. Then my second question was how we can support graduates' entrepreneurship. How we can support our students to launch their own businesses. And exactly, many people believe it is money which is the most important to take a decision about it. Other people point out culture, entrepreneurial culture as the most important factor, or incubation of resources, or some other factors. But contrary to these common beliefs, scientific examinations show something different. It turned out that between three forms of resources which were investigated, that is human capital, financial capital, and culture, it was human capital which played the most important role, and if potential entrepreneurs gain advanced education and managerial experience, these two factors were the most beneficial for their entrepreneurial career. Why advanced education? Many people believe, and there are also some research on this topic, that advanced education is disturbing, rather, in this respect. That it's better if a person has lower education, then it's more entrepreneurial. In fact, it is not true, or it is not always true. Then why advanced education can be helpful? It can be helpful because it helps in the acquisition of skills. Simply, students have more time to develop necessary skills which can be useful for launching own business, such as teamwork, communication, critical thinking. Advanced education provides an access with certain social networks. And what is also important, advanced education gives a positive signal for nascent entrepreneurs when they are evaluated by business angels or venture capitalists in a process of financial support obtaining. That they are evaluated usually better if they have advanced education. And somebody says that, or some researchers says, that advanced education supports entrepreneurial entry through sorting people by ambition and assertiveness. Was it the only one factor which supports entrepreneurship? Of course not. It also turns out that entrepreneurial programs within university curricula are very important in this respect, especially if they include inspirational part. It seems to be the key in encouraging students to launch their own businesses. Of course, resources, knowledge is very important and may increase like a likelihood for launching successful businesses in the future, but it turns out that this is the inspiration, that students must be inspired to launch their business. It means that those who give the courses, provide the courses in entrepreneurship, must be very passionate about entrepreneurship, or if not, they should invite somebody like guests to share the passion about entrepreneurship. And it has very practical implication. For example, if the main point, or if the point of program developers is to encourage students to launch own businesses, it means that inspirational part should be designed purposefully. We shouldn't forget about it, to inspire people. And the third factor which plays a role in supporting students and entrepreneurship is work experience, especially multiple forms of work experience, including internship and project work. It seems to be quite logical, because the person who has no experience in labor market probably is more resistant from taking a risk to launch own business. Or even if it's not, the person may be not aware of many factors which come up with practice. And what is more, if our students gain some work experience, especially, as I mentioned, these multiple forms of work experience, they get an access to market information, to potential customers, to social networks, to capital and potential employees. Then work experience is very rewarding, also from the entrepreneurial point of view. And the last question of mine was if advanced education does play a role in facilitating all kinds of businesses. I asked myself about it because this controversial about or around links between higher education and entrepreneurship still kept in my mind. And in fact, it turns out that it's not always the case. Advanced education doesn't support all kinds of business activities. What it supports especially the knowledge-based industries and innovative companies. Again, it seems to be quite logical and linked with the fact that our economies become increasingly knowledge-oriented and service-oriented. Then we need people who have education, who are able to respond for these market needs. Then those graduates with higher education, with better knowledge, with specialization in their domains, may be very much desirable to launch their companies, especially in knowledge-based industries and innovative companies. And surprise, surprise, some very practical implications came up out of it. For example, it turned out that those students who graduated from universities earlier than average time, they had less problems with credits obtaining if they wanted to launch the business. And especially if they wanted to launch innovative business. That it proves that, or one of the examples which proving that higher education brings real value, and if our graduates perform better than average, they have a real market reward out of it. Concluding, entrepreneurship can be recognized as a process which is oriented toward exploitation of market possibilities. No matter it ends with the company launching or just starting the new project. The most important in the support of graduate entrepreneurship seems to play advanced education, entrepreneurship programs, especially those with inspirational part, work experience, including multiple forms of work experience, and the final conclusion is that advanced education facilitates business formations, but not necessarily in all industries, but rather in knowledge-based industries and in innovative companies. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll be very glad to answer for the questions.